Becoming a successful social media game designer, and you just have to start from the ground up with social features as the most important thing of your game design, and then build a game around those social features. It is why these games have such a broad audience. People really like playing with other people. It turns out that that's this incredibly simple but very powerful social mechanic. It's my grandmother playing with my teenage nieces all in the same game world because they're all living on this platform that is called Facebook. We have 250 million people that play our games every month. 3 to 5% of active users directly pay for social games. If you have 250 million people playing every month, and 3 to 5% of them actually pay, you can do a little bit of math and figure out that those can add up to some pretty big numbers. We'll take Farmville as our example. Farmville has about 42 million monthly active users. A very small percentage of those 42 million actually pays for enhanced content, like purple cows or striped tractors or other things that you can build in the game. And it took 5 weeks to build Farmville. The development timeframes are still not that long, especially when compared to the traditional games industry. Social games are partly gaming, but they're also partly web products. And you have to adopt the model of a web developer as well as a game developer. You're not just delivering a packaged good, you're delivering an ongoing service. And to that end, you might have a weekly feature cadence where you're producing new features that your players can enjoy. There are 3 key metrics that we think about when we are making games for the web. They are reach, retention, and revenue. Reach is how many people play your games. Retention is how many of them come back to play your games. And then revenue is how much people pay to play your games, obviously, the key. These metrics are all available in real time, and this is like the most skull-shattering thing about being in the social media industry is that every single day we can take a look at a snapshot of what our players are doing. So if we see a drop-off, if we're like down 10%, we can know that, oh, looks like we broke something in last night's release, or maybe Facebook has done something to change around how notifications work. But one way or the other, we can instantly react to it in real time. Another key element is that these gameplays are designed around short sessions multiple times a day. It basically fits into the nooks and crannies of your day. Social media games, you can be doing for 5 minutes at a time while you're watching television or on the phone with grandma or whatever the particular activity is that you want to multitask with. So what makes a good social feature? The actual features that you want to put in your game. First one, that it must be is really simple. Another key part of it is that it should align with at least one of your key metrics, reach, retention, or revenue. Does this feature drive people to try the game? Does it drive people to come back to the game? Or does it drive people to monetize, to give you money in the game? Another thing that you look for is virality, ways that you can essentially have your player base advertise to other players that they are playing or that they might like to play. Engagement, coming back regularly, and revenue, it's something that's worth paying for. This is an example of a kind of before and after feature from Mafia Wars. A few years back, we said, oh, we're traditional game designers, so let's take some of the elements from traditional games like boss fights, right? Everybody knows boss fights. You come to the end of a level, and there's some really hard guy that you have to work hard to defeat, and then it's really cool. And so the first go-round of this, which was very complex, which meant that it took a lot of coding time to do and a lot of QA time and all that sort of thing, was you had to kind of really build up to try to beat the boss, and you had to collect all these parts, and you had to do all this stuff. But it drove none of the key metrics. It wasn't social. You didn't have to ask your friends to help you with this. It wasn't simple. And there wasn't even in the Rev 1 of this, there wasn't even a way to monetize. There was nothing that you could buy to help you defeat the big boss in the game. And so that basically failed, and we took boss fights out of the game for a while. But then we tried the second go-round on it, which was very simple. There was a reveal over time that as you progressed through the game, you would figure out who the boss actually was that you were supposed to defeat. And then you posted a feed that said, come help me defeat the boss. If people clicked on that feed, then you beat the boss. Really simple, but that turned out to be a very successful feature. The idea that we are connecting the world through games, to me, this is an incredibly powerful tool that is changing the way that people interact, that games are becoming part of 250 million people's daily routine, that they can play with each other, touch each other, and interact with each other in a way that isn't as time-intensive as picking up the phone or sending them an email.